Ruckus and the Menace, episode number 179, will begin in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ruckus in the Minutes, episode number 179. I am Ruckus, presenting for the first time ever in the history of Ruckus in the Menace, episode 179, if you decide to have a trivia question for that. Spennis, what do you have in store for us?
And I'm Spennis the Menace, and I'm in the wrong market area when it comes to baseball because ticket prices, although in Baltimore and DC may be a little bit cheaper, they are not to the point that I could very easily go.
I felt
Because
that.
because there's a market that's better. And I'm talking in Queens, New York. Yes, New York City may be super expensive all around, but not at Citi Field.
I found it odd that the Cardinal. So Lom actually asked if I wanted to go to a St. Louis Cardinals game last weekend, and I looked at the ticket prices, and most of them were like fairly cheap. Like it was like $10, and it
Oh,
was against them, and it was against the freaking Mariners at Busch Stadium. It's like, wouldn't it be more expensive because the Mariners almost went to the World Series? Like,
well,
wouldn't
the
you think?
Mariners. Well, let's see. Let's look at the standings and see what's going on here. The Mariners are. I mean, I think it may be more so where the Cardinals might actually have a dynamic, but depending on how close the game was out, that wouldn't have been a bad option because both of those teams aren't terrible right
It could
now.
have also been a discounted price that I didn't realize because I live in Missouri, but I highly doubt it
That
because
also could be something too. But our good this week to go along in the Eastwood segment is cheap baseball in Queens. The ticket prices for Mets games have fallen into the single digits this week as the Mets also take on the Washington Nationals. But here's the funny part that kind of has this be the reason why. The Mets have the second highest payroll in all of baseball. But they are tied with the Philadelphia Phillies for the worst record in baseball.
can I roll the segment now?
Yeah. Oh, the tumbleweed could have rolled at any time.
Well, it couldn't have rolled any better than realizing that. What did you say?
Cheap baseball in Queens.
All right. What is bad this week?
Oh, what's bad this week is none other than my Red Sox struggling, and the Phillies are struggling to the point that they both fired their managers. And we're not even through April yet.
They also
And we're
DFA'd their closer, Jordan Romano, which was a former All-Star for the Toronto Blue Jays. Like, what the F happened between then and now? Like, come on, man. I
he
had him
got
on my
turned into cheese.
fantasy. I had him on my goddamn fantasy, and he got DFA'd, and I only heard it because on the Royals broadcast the night before, they're like, oh yeah, he got DFA'd. I'm like, well, shit. What do I do?
Let's just say this. Jordan Romano went from throwing cheese to getting turned into cheese.
What kind of cheese we talking? Like Kraft singles or?
You've never heard of Romano cheese?
I have heard of Romano cheese, but I was just making
Yes, that's why
a.
I said like Romano went from throwing cheese, as in like fastballs, to being turned into cheese, as in Romano cheese.
I was asking for the ranking, man. It was a scale of Kraft singles to Romano cheese. God damn it!
Uh, uh, Speaking of certain other things, we can get right into the downright ugly. As our downright ugly goes right into the NFL with the Coldplay office couple vibes are out to play once more. Except it's in a football scale with Mike Vrabel and Dianna Russini and the story that unfolded in Sedona, Arizona.
I think she was
As
hoeing out because let's be honest, because like when I first heard about this, I was like, okay, Vrabel, Dianna Russini, sure, they might have had a fling or not or whatever. It didn't seem like much, and then like it like lingered for weeks and weeks on end, and I'm just like, okay,
still culpability on
is it
Vrabel's part.
okay? But hear me out. I'm wondering if Mike Vrabel was the verdict, or if Dianna Russini is a homewrecker and she needs to like keep it in her pants and like stop and get some help because my god, it came out later that like she was trying to get with like a bunch of other guys and it's like, is she a homewrecker or is Vrabel a bad person?
My, my hunch says that I think that there is an obsession line with Rossini to Vrabel, as
There
in
are
like
so many fish in the sea, my guy. Like,
there's a complete infatuation there that that does not surprise me that Rossini might be a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I mean,
agreed.
she's basically at this point right now nuttier than a payday bar.
Would she be like the nice version of Jennifer Lopez, where like she just kind of secretly has fun, whereas J Lo just doesn't give a shit?
I don't know if it's so much a secret anymore.
Okay.
Victoria was not doing the job.
Shit. All right. All right.
You left it open. That's all I had to say.
Hey, at least I ended it with the Noah, what's his face quote where he just says it. Anyways, where are
All
we
right.
going from here?
Well, now that we've kind of got our NFL jokes out of the way, let's get to the serious point of the NFL this past week, as it is the NFL draft. And our high heat will basically be breaking down round 1, and then we get to kind of analyze some things along the way for the later rounds,
It was definitely
and
super
maybe even some into
serious.
round 1 as we get into the color commentary.
So serious.
So, the first overall pick, to no surprise whatso freaking ever,
Ain't no surprise I will be here tomorrow. Sorry, that was Pavia. Anyways,
thank you,
let's go.
Chris. Thank you, Chris. Fernando Mendoza was selected the first was the first overall pick.
That was
Thank you,
so
Chris.
good. That was such a good line.
And then the Cardinals, who were bluffing about whether or not they would get Jeremiah Love, called their own bluff and saying they're going to take him. And the Titans take Carnell Tate at 4. The Giants, with their two first round picks, get Arvell Reese at 5 and Francis Mauigoa at 10.
That's where the Chiefs are kind of trying to go for with the rumors from what I heard. But anyways, let's keep
Well,
going.
but now we get to what the Chiefs actually did. They traded up 3 spots with the Cleveland Browns to get Mansour Delane from LSU at 6.
Monsoon. That's how you pronounce it. It's monsoon. Okay, let's keep going.
and then they also had Peter Woods at 29 from a previous trade. My Commanders take Sonny Styles at 7. The Rams, in a much to the surprise plot twist, take Ty Simpson at 13.
With a line of cocaine for Sean McVay, as he says that Stetson Bennett is going to compete for Ty Simpson. We'll see about that. Let's keep going.
I think Tyson. I think there actually is a competitive QB2 job, and it could be something that Ty Simpson may be the answer in the longer term. Who knows? But the Eagles and Cowboys pick swap for Philly to take Makai Lemon, and as Dallas then gets Malachi Lawrence at 23. But Dallas also with another pick also grabbed Caleb Downs at 11. So, and then of course, Seattle picking up the second Notre Dame running back in the draft. That in the draft class with Jadarian Price. The Jets, of course, grabbing Omar Cooper to go along with David Bailey at 2. The Cleveland Browns grabbing Spencer Fano and Casey Concepcion. So we've got a few different fun things to kind of talk about here within that first round, but we go right into the color commentary. And the first thing that I kind of would say before we get into what we feel our teams did, was there any trade that surprised us?
Honestly, the monsoon Delane draft pick trade was kind of surprising because I didn't think it'd be that player specifically. I thought if anything it'd be that Payne fella that got drafted to the Buccaneers. I think it was
Oh, Ruben
Gerald
Bain. Yeah,
Reuben
Ruben
Bain.
Bain.
Yeah, Reuben Bain Jr. My bad. For some reason I was thinking Gerald Payne and I was like, that's not right. Um but yeah, like I'm glad the Buccaneers got a good edge rusher. Even though his arm uh his like I guess arch that you would say for his arms.
Yeah, his arm length. Yeah,
Yep, wingspan, shit like that.
yeah,
They were saying like it wasn't as good as like what you would normally see for an edge rusher or whatnot, but I don't know. There's been some edge rushers in the past, like Jason Pierre-Paul, that I lean on for this, that would
Mm.
say otherwise. But that's just
yeah.
my
I mean,
opinion.
I think the Delane trade. I think the trade with the Chiefs to the Cleveland Browns. I think they gave up too much for a player that probably really ideally would have been there at 9.
But here's
Be-
the thing. They could have said like, "Oh, they didn't get it in time," if this was an alternate reality, and that's where I'm kind of like, I don't really give a shit. If you know what you're looking for as a general manager like Brett Veach, you just take the bull by the horns and just go for it.
Yeah, but you basically traded 2 other picks that you could have used in this year's draft for the opportunity to move up 3 spots. So I think you
Well, we
gave up
we
a
went we went for defense nonetheless and got a
yeah.
wide receiver and a running back out of it, which is still decent, but our main focus
No, I
this
would say
season was defense. But I do get what you're saying, where it's like you could have just waited, but at the same time, it's very hard to dictate that in the moment,
yeah.
and that's where
And
I stand my ground.
I think where it was interesting was that Philadelphia moved up 3 slots to get a receiver, which probably then ushers that AJ Brown is on the way out. And then the Browns, of course, in their trade down with getting that pick, or actually with them getting that pick from Jacksonville, they grabbed Casey Concepcion, who's going to be an interesting player. Although I don't, although the hard part with him is that there's not really a quarterback that'll throw him the ball.
We'll just have to see how that goes.
Yeah, but I think the Jonathan Grenard trade to the Eagles in right around round 3 that occurred in day 2 was a major impactful deal because now the Eagles get yet another pass rusher. Was there a pick that kind of made you scratch your head a little bit, like saying like why is this team picking this?
I think this is going to be a controversial pick, but the last pick that we did was a quarterback at Garrett Nussmeier, which, yes, he could develop a lot from what Patrick Mahomes has in his arsenal, but at the same time, I think he's a better fit than Pavia would have been, or if we decided to go with like a guy that was just struggling out there. Like the past couple of years for the Chiefs, they've been adding some like no-name talent that didn't get very far, but like a few of them was mainly Chris Oladokun and Shane Bichelle, but Bichelle's utter trash. But other than that, like I think it's good that Nussmeier is with the organization, but it was definitely kind of like a because I don't know whoever else we would have drafted, but I thought it was interesting, but it definitely
Now
scratched
in
my head.
the first round for me, I would have said Caleb Banks to Minnesota. The second round, there were a couple of ones that were kind of a little bit of a head scratcher. Dejon Stribling to the 49ers. I believe it was Jacksonville with a tight end. Yeah, the tight end from Texas A&M, Nate Borkirker. That was a shock. And then I also think that a potential steal, especially if he's healthy, is Jermon McCoy being the top pick in round 4 to the Raiders. Yeah, he was the first pick at day 3. Fell all the way to round 4 because of knee issues. But how do you feel your team did, Ruckus?
I think my rating for their draft would probably be an A minus because I don't know how Emmett Johnson's gonna do from Nebraska, but I also don't know what they plan to do um, with like the quarterback situation. But also last year when we drafted Jalen Royals, we like hyped him up as like, oh, a guy that could actually play, and he hardly ever played during the season. Like you barely noticed it, but with like Cyrus from Cincinnati, I hope to God we use him more. But I
I
guess we'll
laugh. The
figure it
fun part
out.
about the fun part about your team is that you got a player who's first in it, who part of his first name stands for nothing. The R. Mason Thomas.
Yep,
That
dude.
R doesn't stand. That R doesn't stand for a darn thing. That's just like President Truman.
Dude, our dude, our Mason Thomas at least can go make a high ah motion or like a pounce motion at a quarterback. So don't mess with him on that. But you can mess with him on that little thing there. It's like a yo mama joke at the end of the day.
Yeah, actually was. It actually was a very interesting design for the name. I will take that. But I am gonna throw this out here that for my Commanders, I think this was an interesting draft. I do like that we ended up with Sonny Styles, who's going to be another good inside linebacker presence. Antonio Williams will be really good for us in round 3, because he potentially could be a playmaker.
Was it actually round 2 or 3? Just to
It was
clarify, because you
it,
said
early round
both.
3. Early round 3.
Okay, there you go. Thank you.
Day two, seventh pick of round 3. We didn't have a second round pick.
Okay, I was
And
just
then
double checking because you were dodging, but go ahead. Sorry.
Joshua Josephs. That should be an interesting one for us for a 5th round pick. Katron Allen could be an extra little piece to kind of complement the running game that we already have. And then who knows what this quarterback out of Rutgers can do as far as actually making his way to being a backup. So I mean, I'd probably give us like a solid B, but the Sonny Styles pick is definitely an A. Like
I think
if it
I
was really
go ahead.
if I were basing it off of like the first 2 days, I probably would say an A minus. I
I
think the third
think
day we had a couple of picks that was like, I don't know.
I think the first couple days it was probably A minus for the Chiefs, but like that day one where I saw Monsoon Delane on there, I was like, damn, he's like a next generation of Tyrann Mathieu and a splash of Justin Reed.
Yeah, I would have loved if Washington would have gotten a corner or a safety. But I think that's where UDFA's kind of come in and kind of fill in those holes.
Yep.
And now we go on to our stud and dud of the week. And Ruckus, I think you've got yourself something fun here.
Oh yeah. And I think I'm gonna start with my dud this week, and I've definitely totally beaten the dead horse with this one at this point, but I'm sorry, but he did this to himself. Diego Pavia, the UDFA, wasn't even considered in the draft. A man that never played football got drafted by the Eagles, but Pavia didn't even get considered. Oof. But also, Pavia on record talked trash on the Heisman voting and also said he didn't need an agent. Which,
Overrated.
let's be honest,
Overrated.
he's like a Timu Diego not Timu Diego Pavia. He's
Johnny
like
Manziel.
not even. He's like I don't know what to speak about him, but it's like if Tim Tebow was Timu. Like if like you could get a Tim Tebow like fathead, but for like cheaper, it was Diego Pavia. I don't know how to explain that. That was really
he's
botched.
he's Johnny Manziel with a D1 crash out.
Dude doesn't know how to throw the damn ball, but he can run it. It's like if
Yeah, that is Tebow with a D1 crash out.
yep. But anyways, he on record talked trash about the Heisman voting, even though he was a runner-up or whatever you call it, and saying you don't need an agent when clearly you derailed your career pretty quickly after the Heisman stuff. Yeah, your combine looked no, like Uncle Rico did better than what you did in the combine. Anyone did better.
Heck, I think any one of us, like the average Joe, could do better.
Like Jesus Christ. Schmeagol could do better than Diego Pavia.
Gallo, he over here like Gallo with the football saying, "Bye, precious."
Anyways, my stud for this week is Bobby Witt. Finally gets his first homer of the year, and the team later had a comeback that most people will not forget because the Angels were up by 1, and then all of a sudden Jack Caglione hit a home run that tied the game, and then an inning later we decided to finally take the lead. And I don't like where this is going for the Royals, where it's like we barely win or we just make a comeback every freaking game, because that was the 2014 season in the nutshell. Spennis, take it away.
All right, my dud this week goes to Texas Tech quarterback Brendan Sorsby. He is entering a gambling addiction program and has ended up under the radar of an NCAA investigation over sports bets he made when he was at Indiana, redshirted as a true freshman. And it was like he wasn't making like huge bets, but it was kind of a full like not legal for him to do it, which kind of sets and rubs some things the wrong way. But my stud goes none other than to Paul Skeens. In celebrating his rookie shortstop Connor Griffin's 20th birthday, he rents a bounce house for him. And they had it in the locker room and everything for him.
It was so weird that it was just like plain white.
Yeah, it was like a plain white bounce house.
It's like who?
But
It's like
it also wasn't that big either.
How freaking generic does it have to be just base white? Like, come on.
He kept it simple, but it was funny. But it was like a funny idea.
My niece's bounce house is more colorful than that hunk of shit.
And then that evening, also Connor Griffin also hit his first major league home run.
Oh, God
So
forbid. Good for him.
so it was so that's kind of a fun way to kick off a birthday. But on that note, we now can move on to our lights, camera, action segment where we get to kind of talk about what we've been watching, what we've been playing throughout these few weeks that we have not been on your podcast waves.
I'll go first. All right. So my watching, I've been so the new Running Point season came out on Netflix. It's the same thing, but just faster paced. But other than that,
That's the Kate Hudson joint, isn't it?
yeah, and I wasn't a huge fan of the plot, but I just kind of wanted something in the background that I could hear. But it's okay. It's not as good as the first season, but it's something that you can just deal with. But Euphoria season 3, I've been watching the first three episodes that came out. They come every Sunday. It's one episode per Sunday
Yeah.
on HBO. It's all right. I liked the first two seasons, but like this third one kind of it's like whenever you first watched Rick and Morty season 3, like with the episodes coming in and out here and there. But other than that, I have been just looking into a lot of documentaries, um, and also just rewatching some movies and watching some other shows. But I also saw this one for it was the 90s commercial for Pepsi where someone tried to get the miser jet or the one that like lands vertically. But Pepsi was saying like, oh, you could get like you could have like if you have 7 million Pepsi points, you can get this like fancy ass jet, and it's just like, damn, sign me up. But anyways, we'll just leave that there. What I've been playing, Arc Raiders has a new update that they released today as a recording, and it's pretty intense. A lot of the arc shows up for sure compared to previous maps where it just kind of sits there in the wildlife, but this time they just kind of spawn closer near to you and it's kind of intimidating, but I kind of moved around a little bit in the map and it's not too bad, but we'll see what happens in a Arc Raiders Let's Play with that. Give me a week, we'll see how that goes. Well, other than that, I've been playing a lot of single player games, but also playing a little bit more Battlefield 6 just to get into it. But other than that, Spennis, what are you up to?
Alright, so the missus and I still are watching our regular 3 run, Top Chef season 23, America's Culinary Cup, which has been impressive so far. And then I'm getting hooked on Survivor, which is something I never thought I would actually say. But Survivor 50 is now kind of sunk in its teeth. I'm still an episode behind because I was across the way, so I didn't necessarily get to watch the most recent episode, but it's like I am actually shocked at how good Survivor really is. And I probably will then look for episode or for season 51 when it comes around and have it be its thing. But I did get to watch a movie, and I watched the Super Mario Galaxy movie.
I heard that one's pretty good.
It actually is not as bad as what the critics claim for it. They stuck pretty pretty good and made good usage of source material.
Did they make it
And
lore enough to where it was like following up to Super Mario Galaxy, like the actual
it
game?
it was very interesting lore
Okay.
considering for what it was.
I just didn't know if
And
they like phoned it home as well. I was wondering about because I was like,
oh
that's
no,
probably
because they've
bad.
even brought you don't do you necessarily want a spoiler about a certain character of who they brought in?
Let's leave that for another episode.
Well, I will say this. The main piece here that was involved in the movie, Glenn Powell plays a character. As in Hangman from Top Gun. Did you watch the remake of The Running Man?
Nope.
Glenn Powell was the lead there. But I think Glenn Powell is, of course, a solid. Like he's a solid actor for what he does, and I think he's incredibly typecast. But I think that this type definitely his is kind of a little bit of his mold.
Hmm.
And if you can think of the certain Nintendo character that fits that mold or that would fit a type of thing for Glenn Powell, I'm sure you've figured it out. They've already done like a lot of the major like announcements of it on Tonight Show and everything else. So I already knew it before it even came out in the theater.
Yep.
But but Super Mario Galaxy movie was a fun time. What I've been playing though, I'm still on Fire Emblem Engage. I am on the back stretch of the game. So I just completed chapter 22 yesterday. So I'm 4 chapters away from finishing it. And it's a very good Fire Emblem game for what it is. Vampire crawlers basically take the concept of vampire survivors, but yet turn it in a spin for a Slay the Spire type card game that you move around dungeon crawling.
Sounds
And
like just a theme for it, but yeah, that sounds like
oh
fun.
yeah, but it does a good job of letting things kind of go. And it's kind of one of those that I'll play at my own pace to kind of build up. And then Pokemon Champions. Now, a lot of people will say playing competitive Pokemon is hard. And you'd be right. But what if you would play a game that actually streamlines the process and gives you automatically any Pokemon you recruit or bring in, their IVs are already automatically set to 31. They max out everything for you. You just have to adjust nature, moves, and all these other things along the way to then create competitive teams. Create competitive teams and challenge yourself either in singles or doubles format. I've been mostly playing the doubles format because that is the VGC way. And it has stretched me as a Pokemon player. And I honestly am enjoying it much more than I thought I would.
My coworker really likes the new Pokemon game.
Yeah, it's a games as a service game. So yeah, it's paying for season passes, which I did not this time around, but I've already maxed it out. So if I pay the $10, I just get everything else that's in it.
He also has a bunch of ROMs for uh like
Oh yeah,
third party Pokemon.
he gens and that he would gen and have
He
everything
is
already set up.
hardcore into it, and I'm just like, damn, dude. Like, I don't know where to start.
Oh, as far as like where one of the best players in the world is from, I'm about an hour and a half outside of where he is, as far as where he's from. And Wolf Glick, yeah, because he's down in the DC area, so he's kind of Beltway area, and I'm a little bit on the outside.
All right, all right.
So, so I live in the same area. So I live virtually within like about an hour and a half of greatness. But overall, I mean, Pokemon Champions it's been a fun concept. I'm still trying to learn my way through, figure out some other teams to build.
All
And
right.
it's stretched me out. It has challenged me. And now we move on to rounding third and headed for home. And Ruckus was definitely stoked about this one. Rory McIlroy winning the Masters, making it back to back.
Sure. At least
And
he's
the
doing
first,
better
well,
than what Tiger Woods is dealing with. But anyways, let's
true,
go for it.
true. But the fun part about that is that he was the first to do so since Tiger did it in the early 2000s.
Tiger, get in here! Voiced by Ron White.
Russell Wilson becomes the next guest of honor to bat for the Savannah Bananas during the Banana Ball Tour. I mean, if you watch the at bat, he just grounds out to a trick play because the ball rolls slowly in between the player's legs and he just flips it over for the out.
He just needs to
But
give it to the running back.
Russell Wilson looked rusty.
He just needs to give it to the running back and he's
And
okay.
the Jets are looking into him as a potential backup quarterback.
Sorry, I just threw up in my mouth a little bit hearing Russell Wilson being a New York Jet. Sorry.
That sounds more like, I mean, that idea just sounds not so much like him being a solid New York Jet as it more going to be a New York plane crash. I know, dark. I know, a little bit too dark. I'm sorry.
It's better than what I was talking about.
Franchise tag Cowboys receiver George Pickens pulling up Brandon Ayuk saying, "Pay me or trade me," in his ultimatum with the Cowboys following what he appeared to be signing the tag, but he has not officially done so.
As a Sith Lord of Jerry Jones, I think there's no way in hell, but God might find a way.
Do you think they pay him or trade him? Do you think they pay him or trade him?
I think they hold out for a long period of time, and his blood vessels give out to a point where George Pickens eventually gets a big contract, and that oil money from Jerry Jones becomes a reality.
So you think that the Cowboys will pay him?
Yes, sir. But I'm not gonna say that I'm gonna pay him, but I'm just gonna look like an asshole on national TV for the next couple months before I realize, oh, I should pay George Pickens, my tagged Cowboys quarterback. Yeah, that's how crazy Jerry Jones is in the nutshell. Anyway, just keep
Sounding
going.
of your Jerry Jones voice, I'm gonna go maybe a little more in the sense of you're delusional.
I might be delusional, but goddamn, I love me some George Pickens, like I love Dolly Parton.
And I think George Pickens will be working that 9-5 out of Dallas at this point because I think they are going to be left with no other choice than to settle for less than what they should have. Probably send him to a team that is absolute garbage. I mean, that'll probably end up overpaying for him in need, say Arizona or San Francisco.
I mean, honestly, as Jerry Jones, I think that Dak Prescott is the best quarterback for George Pickens right now, and I think really heavily on that as Jerry Jones. So if you would shut your mouth. Okay, I'm done. My improv of Jerry Jones. This is probably the funniest thing.
Yeah, but the Dallas Cowboy thing, it's like honestly, I think they're gonna trade it. I really think they're gonna trade him.
To the ending of my Jerry Jones thing of how about them Cowboys? I'm totally not wine drunk. Anyways, sorry.
And you, Mr. Jerry Jones, are the reason why people go senile.
I don't go senile. Most other people go senile.
Wait, no, Jerry.
I look like the
senile. You're not going senile. You are senile.
I look like a human cyst. Like, my pimple needs to be popped, but if you pop me, you kill me. D- Dude looks like a
All
Gears
right,
of
let's just
War.
get to the last one.
Dude looks like a Gears of War, like, enemy. Anyway, let's keep going.
The Kansas City Royals have a new stadium proposed, and
Oh, joy
from what
to
I
the
even saw of
world!
like the from what I even saw of it, it didn't look bad. You're,
Okay, honestly, in real
is
talk, I think that the new stadium is a good thing, but at the same time, I don't know how to feel about it. But from the most people's reaction I've gotten from it when I talk to them is just, "Oh boy, this is gonna cause chaos," and I'm just like, I don't know. To me, it just seems like they got the best of both worlds when it came to getting the outside marketing slash just shops around the stadium, like good for them. But at the same time, what is the stadium gonna look like? Is it gonna be anything comparative or better than Coppin Stadium? That's what I'm looking for.
knows? Who knows? But I would think that they'll definitely stick with. I think they have to stick with a fountain concept that would obviously work.
It looked like the render did have that, but I just don't know what it's gonna look like finalized, and I'm hoping it's not a fucking disaster because Coppin Stadium perfected what the City of Fountains would resemble for Kansas City, and it's done that for two, like 20, or not even 20 years, more like more than 50 years, 60 years, maybe almost 70 years. Like, Common Stadium looks a lot better than what Arrowhead has. And I'm sorry, Claw Crunt, but there's a reason you decided you wanted to move to Canada to KCK.
Well, in Kauffman Stadium, I mean, even the walking tours are like $25, which actually isn't bad.
Kauffman Stadium is like the nicest renovated stadium of Truman Sports Complex, and I would, if you were to tell me that Arrowhead was refurbed or remade, I would call bullshit because Arrowhead, like the general like consensus is kind of mixed, but also like whenever they were trying to put that bill out that would say yes to extend the Missouri residents for both the Chiefs and the Royals, the Chiefs one was more like, oh, we're gonna like try to renovate the stadium enough to where like people don't have to have a room, like have a long line for toilets, and it's just like that's still been a thing. Like you couldn't address that, and even before that, they were like, "Oh, we're gonna have like taco trucks and food trucks serve the area for those games," and it's like there's no real guarantee that there would be much service for those. And even if you had like dedicated ones, like not everyone's gonna like those, but still, like it was just kind of a disconnect from what the owners wanted, which is obviously they want the outside atmosphere besides just the baseball atmosphere of people just like staying around and having a good time, kind of like the Power and Light District. But you didn't get that with Truman Sports Complex. You have
Yeah,
a what looks abandoned hotel, which is still running, and a Denny's, and that's about it.
yeah. I mean, shoot, you've got. I mean, the park's been around since 1973
Yep.
as far as opening, so it's probably in due time. But I think if they kind of know what's best and what made Kauffman Stadium so great, I think they will figure out. They will find a way.
We'll see. Because that's the same way I feel about the new Arrowhead Stadium. I don't know if they're gonna call it Arrowhead or if they're just gonna say it's the Chiefs Stadium presented by whatever sponsor
Well,
they have. Like, we'll see.
I'm pretty sure that you gotta have at least some sort of theming of Arrowhead in some sort of way
Because,
or form.
like, for the Sporting KC arena, they used to call it Live Strong before the whole scandal with Lance
Before the Lance
Armstrong.
Armstrong issue, yep.
But other than that, yeah, that's all I really had to say about the matter. We'll just see what happens. But I am
Yep.
curious.
And on that note, that will wrap up episode number 179 of the Ruckus and the Menace podcast. I'm Menace the Menace.
And I am Ruckus, always Cosmo Ruckus. We'll see you on episode 180 some point in the future. Deuces.
Until the next one, hugs and hand pounds, everybody.